Good evening. The Royal Navy has steamed into a diplomatic row tonight after sending a frigate into waters China considers to be its maritime backyard. This is HMS Richmond, became the first British warship in a decade to sail through the sensitive Taiwan Strait. China immediately responded by calling it an evil act of provocation. The British frigate was shadowed by two Chinese vessels as well as aircraft as it travelled through the strait on its way from Japan to Vietnam. The Taiwan Strait is a narrow waterway separating Taiwan and mainland China. The Royal Navy reserves the right to navigate international waters, but in recent years, China has grown increasingly sensitive about foreign vessels around Taiwan, which it claims as its own. Let's turn to the former Conservative Party leader, Sir Iain Duncan Smith, who's also a co-chair of the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China. Iain Duncan Smith, thanks for your time this evening. Do appreciate it. Tell us about the Strait of Taiwan. Why does it matter quite so much to the Chinese? Why does it matter for us to send a Royal Navy frigate along it?
Well, first of all, as someone who's been sanctioned by China, in other words, I can't have anything to do with China, and I guess I'd be arrested if I was to enter any country allied to them, I celebrate this statement by the Royal Navy. These are international waters, and no matter what China protests, they are recognized as international waters. Secondly, I don't think they have any right to Taiwan. If the Taiwanese people don't want to be part of China, that's their choice. They can decide that. It's not to be bullied or bludgeoned. And they overfly regularly now with their bombers and fighters. They try and overfly Taiwan airspace. So they're really threatening and ramping up the pressure. So it's a very good time for the frigate to go through those waters to reinstate the idea and to emphasize the fact that we have a right of navigation under international law, the law of the sea. We have every right to do so. So it matters because it is an area, I think, which is going to become the Czechoslovakia of our time, with the Chinese determined to threaten, bully and cajole Taiwan, or even now, as they say, to invade them, because they said after Afghanistan, they put out the statement from their mouthpiece, which said, when the war comes, Taiwan will not be defended by the United States or its allies, so it'll be over. And so that was put out as a very belligerent statement. So I think it's a very good thing that we've reinstated our position. The Americans sail through regularly through that area, once a month or so, I think. So it's a good idea.
Just in your analogy with Czechoslovakia as was, there'll be those people, I suppose, who will say that's an overblown analogy. Come on. It's one thing to go to war to defend the right of Central European states to be free from the Hitlerite yoke. That's not what we're talking about here.
Well, sadly, we didn't go to war with Czechoslovakia in 1938. Had we done so, I think Germany would not be in any particular fit state to fight that war. It was it was a bit of a bluff. No, the reason why I say it is because we're in the same situation. China has grown very strong. It is about to have the largest economy in the world. It plans to have the largest military in about another 15 or 20 years, enough to be able to counter the Americans and take over Taiwan. They've invaded the South China Seas. They have no rights over the South China Seas. They've militarized that whole area, which is, part of where Vietnam is and the Philippines and other islands as well. But they've now militarized that, despite the UN telling them they had no rights over it. And they've trashed the Sino-British agreement in Hong Kong, arresting peaceful democracy protesters and also opposition spokesmen in their LegCo, which was meant to be democratic enough for people to express their own opinions. They've essentially clashed with the Indians on their border and killed a number of Indian soldiers recently. They're committing genocide, I believe, on the Uyghur as they forcibly sterilize Uyghur women in Xinjiang province who are Muslim, and also they put their men out to labor camps and re-educate the children. It's just a list. There's more. The Christians crack down on. China is telling us they intend to invade Taiwan. They are turning into a global bully, and we need to do something about it.
And we in time may need to decide what we will do to defend Taiwan, whether that is worth going to war for, which I think is ultimately what we're talking about here, aren't we? We haven't got very long left. I just wonder on the narrow point about what's happened in the Strait in the last 24 hours. What do you say to those people who will argue, look, we in the UK get very exercised about the sight of Russian Navy warships in the English Channel. They say we're in international waters. We feel they're rather thumbing their nose as they do so. What's the difference between that and this?
Well, actually, when you say fussed, all we do is we shadow them and make sure we know what they're doing and where they're going when they come through the channel. But we have huge numbers of ships of all nations passing up and down through the channel. We claim the halfway mark on it, but we don't stop ships from coming through our territorial waters. They have the right of navigation, providing they're not attempting to threaten anybody. This is a statement. It's a statement of our right to navigate through that channel. And the Americans do it regularly. Others do too, and I hope more do. The reality, we have to say to China, your behavior is intolerable and it's no good. You're not going to bully Taiwan. Taiwan doesn't want to be part of China, and they have the right to say no. So the idea that you will eventually take them over, bully them, threaten them, etc., is not the right way to do it. And we think that this area of water is open for everybody to navigate. I think it's the right thing for the Royal Navy to do. And I believe that China will back away on this, which it seems they have done even in this instance.